And just down the street sit thousands of old documents which represent claims by U.S. companies against the Cuban government, major Fortune 500 companies that lost property, etc., in the early 1960s. Outstanding value on those is $7 to $8 billion.
Right.
The embargo law says those have to be settled before it goes away. What are the real chances of that?
Well, there has to be made, some progress has to be made. We just can't leave those there and not address them. And those certified claims are part of the overall fabric of why the embargo was put in place in the first place. So,
I mean, they're going to settle for 10 cents on the dollar, 50 cents on the dollar. Is there any precedent for something like this?
Yeah, there is. I mean, we know for sure they will be settled. This program's been around since 1949, and we've settled a lot of cases against Soviet Union, against Vietnam, against the East German Republic. It's the dollar amount that people are going to start quibbling about. But the position that was addressed in Congress last week, 2 weeks ago at a congressional hearing, made clear that we're going to start from 100 cents on the dollar.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, besides the U.S. claims, so these are U.S. companies and individuals, there's also all the Cuban exiles who live here in the United States and lost property. You represent a lot of those folks. We interviewed one family, the heirs to the Guantanamo sugar factory. They would like to sue the Cuban government. What are the chances they're going to get anything in the future?
Well, the certified claims are the priority claims for the U.S. government.
Those are the U.S. claims?
Those are the U.S. claims. The uncertified or the non-U.S. person claims, those people that weren't Americans when the properties were confiscated, those fall in a different category, and it falls on the Cuban government, this one or the next one, to set up a process to start addressing that. The U.S. government, however, through the Congress, will start addressing all of these and try and stake out a position to see when will Cuba start coming around on not just claims, but on a whole sort of property rights issues that haven't been addressed for a long time.
There are other models for this, right? The former Soviet Union, Nicaragua,
Vietnam, Nicaragua, there's a few of them out there.
There's ways to do this.
There's a lot of ways to do this. I just think folks need to get a little more serious about it, and we had hoped that instead of opening the embassy ahead of time, they would have done some of this beforehand.
The Cuban government says that they deserve reparations for the embargo against them.
That's novel. I guess we can also argue that the Cuban government owes the rest of the free world the reparations for what they did to the world during the Cold War and waging wars of liberation throughout Latin America. That's a specious argument. This is a focused process. The claims process is settled here, and now we have dollar amounts affixed through a process that was reviewed by the Department of Justice. That dollar amount is the one that we will negotiate off of someday.